Well, he's checking his list, and he's checking it twice. He's going to find out which one of you is naughty or nice. And after that, he gets all of his presents put together by the elves, and then gets into his sleigh. But really, today, is Santa's sleigh a lot different than we see in motion pictures? Is it more than just an actual sleigh pulled by reindeer? Or is it much, much more? Many movies had many different iterations of what Santa cruises the skies in, but so has the automotive industry. And today, being 1 week away from Christmas, AutoLooks has decided to look deep inside Santa's sleigh and show you the world of the what if Santa has something newer. AutoLooks podcast coming to you anytime, anywhere from around the globe on any major streaming site from AutoLooks.net. Welcome back to the AutoLooks.net podcast. I am your host, as always, the doctor to the automotive industry, Mr. Everett J, coming to you from our main host site, AutoLooks.net. If you haven't been there, stop by, check it out. And brought to you by Ecom Media Entertainment, Feedspot.com, and AutoLooks.net main host website. We'd like to thank our podcast hosts, Podbean, for supporting us and looking out for us on all major podcast platforms. Yes, you can find the AutoLooks.net podcast anywhere on the internet and anywhere you find all of your streaming services. Looking for more from AutoLooks? Check out the website at AutoLooks.net. And like we said in the intro, today we're taking a look at Santa's sleigh. Now, we've all seen different variations of it. Hell, people have even created different variations of it for advertising, for movies, for television shows, for print media. It is all over the place. But really, when you get down to it, does Santa, in today's society, still ride around on an actual horse-drawn sleigh? Is he still dashing through the snow in a horse-drawn sleigh? Is he really going over the fields as we go, laughing all the way? Well, a lot of auto companies out there have made their own variations of what Santa's sleigh could be like if he moved into the automotive world. Hell, even some movies have created new variations of Santa's sleigh. I think for myself, one of the best iterations of Santa's sleigh that brings to light more of how he would actually get around in today's society, more so than a magical sleigh with a magical bag today. Arthur Christmas has kind of showed us a realistic term of how Santa gets around. The S1. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, check out Arthur Christmas. The S1 is these massive floating palace in the sky. It kind of reminiscent of you look back at Final Fantasy and those, they're aircraft. They're almost like floating cities. Well, the S1 in Arthur Christmas has thousands upon thousands of elves. Hell, probably even millions of elves inside, helping Santa deliver all the presents to all the boys and girls around the world. Now, in today's society with billions of kids around the world, something like this seems a lot more plausible. But then again, when you look at a movie like The Christmas Chronicles brought to you by Netflix, being able to stop time to deliver all those presents makes just as much sense as a massive spacecraft, doesn't it? Every movie has their own variation of Santa's sleigh, and every television show does the same. But in today's society, with his red coat, which was originally brought to you by Coca-Cola, do you really think Santa is still cruising around in a standard sleigh? He's been cruising around in it for nearly 1,000 years. Yes, Santa has been around for a very, very long time. A lot longer than most people think. And in today's society, Santa's sleigh, and a standard sleigh, would have to travel 650 miles per second. That's 3,000 times the speed of sound. A lot faster than your standard automobile. We've seen companies like Dodge, Lexus, hell, even Bentley create their own variations of Santa's sleigh. Hell, Dodge had the great one last year of Santa becoming a gearhead, utilizing a WWE star to play Santa. It is a muscular build, riding around in an SRT Hellcat Challenger. Now, in an automotive form, do you really think Santa would be cruising around in a muscle car in today's society? Or do you think Santa would go a little bit more green, considering the fact he lives in an area of the world where ecological disasters are a little more prevalent? When we talk about the destruction of our world, northern areas tend to see it a lot quicker than southern. And with Santa living in the North Pole, would Santa really be riding around in a muscle car? Or do you think Santa would be cruising around in a Tesla or a Rivian? Hell, if we break it all the way down to it, wouldn't Santa be cruising around in something built from his home country? Yes, the North Pole constantly changes. There's the true North Pole and the magnetic North Pole. And at times they change. But quite often, they sit in Canadian international territories. Yes, Canadian. And if you've ever noticed, Santa is wearing red and white, Canada's main colors. He lives in the North Pole. He rides around on reindeer. He uses his sleigh. But moving Santa in the automotive world, well, Santa is one of the most technically advanced, I guess you could say, nations in the world. In his Christmas village with all of those elves, they far exceed any nation in the world. Just take a look at the movie Polar Express. Set in the 50s, he's bringing children to the North Pole. When you get there, it's an industrial revolution city. All made of brick and all modern technology. Santa would have that. And that's where a movie like Arthur Christmas kind of brings Santa into the next generation. They bring him away from his sleigh. Yes, the sleigh is still used in that movie because one present for one child was missed. And Arthur wants to get it to her. So, instead of using technology to get there, he uses the classic sleigh. A little magic dust from the Northern Lights, and it takes to the sky. Well, that kind of covers how the original Santa sleigh flew. Magic dust. Hell, it was brought to light even in Ernest Saves Christmas. His magical bag made more sense in Ernest Saves Christmas. Whereas it's just a standard bag. When you open it up, when he puts his hand in, whatever house he is at, wherever he's gone, he reaches in and grabs the right present. Christmas Chronicles had their own variation of this, where he puts his hand in and reaches back to Christmas Village, where the elves give him the right gifts to give at those select places. The S1, being as big as it is, has every present on board. In today's society, any one of these movies could be truthful to how Santa gets around. But the one that really strikes a lot of people is Elf. Think about it. Elf has the Clausometer. How many people believe in Santa and how much it changes every single year? And they add a turbine engine to it to get extra lift and extra power. Because Christmas spirit alone can't make the sleigh fly. This movie kind of shows us the reality of today's society, where I believe and something that we can't see is slipping away from us. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. My son is 10 and he knows this. It's not just because we live in a city that has a research facility that looks into dark matter and neutrinos, things you can't see, but can unlock the mysteries of the universe. Tiny little things that flow through everyone every single day that we can't see. So in the movie Elf, with not a lot of people believing in Santa Claus, and the Clausometer being so low, it's because you can't believe in it. And that's where some of these car companies start using the Santa sleigh model to promote the automotive world into the world of Santa. Like we said, Lexus created their own concept sleigh a few years back. Because don't you think Santa would have an enclosed compartment? Gotta remember, he's going all over the world, 650 miles per second. That would be cold in an open top sleigh. The muscle sleigh still had a target top on it, but Lexus didn't. Bentley's was a convertible as well. So who's correct? Who has the closer variation of what Santa's sleigh would truly be in today's society? Like I said, one of the first movies I ever took my son to at the movie theater was Arthur Christmas. And when I saw that S1, it made more sense in today's society. Santa and his technology far exceed any other nation in the world. So why wouldn't Santa have something that far exceeds what the rest of the world has? Gotta remember, Santa is watching you. He knows when you're sleeping, and he knows when you're awake. And today, he has sent millions of his elves out to watch children around the world as they sit on a shelf and watch you every day. They want to make sure that you're doing things right. Now, when I was a kid, that would have scared the crap out of me. Constantly watched by an elf. But in today's society, it doesn't seem a little off. With cell phones and cameras everywhere, we can all take notice that we're being watched at all times. So an elf on a shelf, Santa sending them out in today's society just doesn't seem that bad. But yet again, why is he sending out his elves when he could just use your Google at home to figure out if you're good or bad? Considering the fact that Google is always listening. Same with your cell phone. It's always listening. So Santa is always listening. But like we said, Santa runs on his own form of technology. He far exceeds anyone else. He sends his elves out because he can't just hear you. He can get first-hand experience from his elves. They can come back with truthful information. Santa knows that people are what helps the company succeed. Santa doesn't use technological advances to beat the competition. Santa uses what he knows best. The reindeer with magic floating along the sky. His elves with their intricate little hands, their small appeal, and their ability to manufacture anything. He knows that instead of replacing them with robots, the elves, as long as they work in a plausible working conditions, they will work happy, they will work merry, and they will meet the efficiencies of what he requires. When you take into consideration that nearly every movie uses a sleigh for Santa to get around, even the villains against Santa still use sleighs. Nightmare Before Christmas and The Grinch, they use sleighs. Even in such modern movies like Friday After Next, Fred Claus, and Noel. Hell, even the new movie, Claus, which shows Santa at his beginning, they all have sleighs. Time travel is starting to be thrown into the mix of Santa, being able to stop time. It's not just about how fast you can get around, but having the ability to move faster than time itself is what sets Santa and his sleigh apart from anyone else in the world. Santa has moved into the world of today because Santa already has something that's better than everything else in the world, where we as a civilization move and exceed our technological prowess of the year before, constantly moving forward, constantly evolving, constantly creating new technologies to better us. Santa doesn't. Because Santa has the one thing that the world around us and the world of Elf doesn't have. We don't have enough Christmas spirit to understand the magic of the world around us. Santa's sleigh is all about the magic of the season. The S1 kind of brings it into the modern society. Kind of answers a bit of those questions. But then again, Ernest Saves Christmas answers those questions. And the Christmas Chronicles from Netflix answers that question. They all have answers to people's questions about how Santa moves around and why he still moves around on a sleigh. It's because if it's not broke, why change it? Santa seems to have the same mentality as some car companies out in the world. For instance, Toyota and Honda. The Accord and Camry still ride on platforms that are over 30 years old, utilizing engines that are over 30 years old. Sure, new modern technology and updates to those engines have made them more efficient and made their designs more efficient and lighter. But when the original platform works so well for you, why do you need to change it? Why do you need to go down the same path, as I like to call it, the Chrysler effect? Take a look at Chrysler and all of their vehicles from the 80s all the way until the early 2000s. Look at their cars. The K car, New York 5th Avenue. Then it moved up to the Dynasty style New Yorker. Then they had the Concorde. Then they had the LHS. Then they had the 300. Now they have the new 300. They kept changing platforms. Like the Intrepid, they finally got it right. And then they changed to the second generation Intrepid, which was worse than the first generation Intrepid. Had horrible issues. They even changed the engines. And they constantly had issues. We get it. You want to evolve your designs. But evolve your designs on what already works for you. Santa doesn't do that. And Santa's sleigh doesn't do that. That's why Santa isn't roaming around in a brand new Bentley sleigh. It'd be more luxurious for him. But if Santa was rolling around in a Bentley sleigh today, he would go back to his original suit. His dark mauve velour suit. Not red. Or as we should say, not Coca-Cola red. And think about it. Why would he move into the automotive world? He would have headlights on his sleigh. Where would Rudolph go? His red nose wouldn't be required anymore. He'd be out of work. Santa doesn't like to do that. He doesn't want to put people out of work. He doesn't throw his elves out and say, I'm getting robots. He doesn't throw Rudolph out and say, I'm putting in headlights. Santa sticks to tradition. The thought of him brings light to many children's eyes. Hell, even many adults' eyes. The thought of how he gets around gives us ideas. Hell, Playmobil, Lego, Hot Wheels have all created variations of Santa's sleigh. Hot Wheels has their own automotive version of the sleigh, which when you see it is still a sleigh front with tires in the back. Now my kids have one of these, and I think it's great. It's another way for Santa to get around. But when it's just him up there, bringing toys to the good boys and girls from around the world, he only needs what he knows. He has the magic, he has the Northern Lights, and he has himself. The magical sleigh that embodies all of our souls and what we remember. No matter how technically advanced we become as people around the world, Santa's sleigh stays true. It is one known that we all know of, because Santa knows that we will know of it. Movies today may change our perception of Santa's sleigh. They might try and answer the questions we all have about it. People will create their own variations of it. Automotive companies will use it for promotional material. And television series will try and unravel the mystery behind the sleigh. But in the end, it doesn't matter if Santa is cruising around in a spaceship on Arthur Christmas, plowing through the snow at high rates of speed in an SRT Hellcat sleigh, or freezing time and gliding gracefully across the skies in an original horse-drawn sleigh. The thought of Santa and all that he brings to everyone around the world at this time of the year brings us closer together. It puts a smile on our face and brings us all closer together. Santa's sleigh is more about being part of modern society. Similar to that, Santa himself is part of society. He is not part of modern society. He is Santa. And as we try and answer more and more of those questions, we start to lose the illusion and the magic of true Santa. The movie Elf showed us that Christmas spirit can dwindle when people start asking too many questions. Like he says in it, Santa looks at Buddy's brother. It says, if everybody saw me, then where would be the mystery of Santa? Everybody believes seeing is believing. But then again, why do we need to all see? Why can't we just believe? And for my closing note on this, none of you, right now listening to this, can see the oxygen that your body needs in front of you. You can see pictures. You can see your desk. You can see the television. You can see your family. You can see everything else tangible in front of you. But the most important thing to your human body is oxygen, and you can't see it. So if we live by the truth of, if we can't see it, it doesn't exist. So if we never see Santa, he doesn't exist. Then what you're telling me is you shouldn't exist because oxygen doesn't exist. Christmas spirit isn't about being part of society. It's about bringing everyone together and showing everybody the joy of having a common belief in something that is magical. Magic brings light to anyone else. It can give you a smile and make you feel amazed. When you learn how magic trick is done, it's not as great to see anymore. So if we all saw Santa and got to visit his house on Cribs, the mystery of Santa wouldn't be that great. And the mystery of Christmas and Santa's sleigh and his ability to move, like we said, over 650 miles per second around the world would be gone. Santa doesn't need to update his sleigh. His sleigh is part of his image. His sleigh is him. Santa, we all like your sleigh. And even though we'll try and create our own variations of it and try and bring you more into the modern society and answer all those questions, Santa's sleigh will still be here and still be a part of our modern Christmas society for decades to come. So what do you think about Santa's sleigh? Do you think we should actually try and change Santa's sleigh into something, from the automotive world, something from, the air and space world? Do you think Santa's sleigh should be brought into a modern society? Similar to that, how people are trying to make Santa lose weight. Or how, Santa should change colors. Santa should change the color of his suit. Santa should change where he lives. Should we all make these changes? Or should Christmas be about the spirit and mystery behind the man himself? And just remember, we may say man, but behind every great man is a great woman. And without Mrs. Claus, Santa wouldn't be able to do what he can do. So let us know. Tag us, follow us, check us out, go to the site, and let us know what you think Santa's sleigh should be. Who should make Santa's sleigh? Drop us a line, follow us, tag us, and tell the world what you think. Do you think the Hellcat Challenger should be Santa's sleigh? Do you think a Bentley Continental GT should be Santa's sleigh? Do you think a Mini Cooper should be Santa's sleigh? Or hell, even an F-18 or an F-22 Raptor? What should Santa get around the world in today? Let us know on the AutoLooks podcast comments and on the AutoLooks.net website. I'm your host, Everett J., and you've been listening to the AutoLooks podcast, production of Ecom Entertainment and AutoLooks.net. You can find us on all major podcast streaming platforms around the world, from Spotify to iTunes to Samsung and even Amazon Music. We are there, the AutoLooks podcast. Stop by and check out Feedspot.com, who's one of our major sponsors and helps us get out into the world for you. And in the end of it all, stop by and visit the website, AutoLooks.net. And in just a couple of weeks, we'll be releasing the best of model year 2023 for the designs of the world. With over 600 cars rated this year, AutoLooks will bring you the best design of the globe. You have an idea or want to get your say in about this podcast? Contact us at email@autolooks.net or find us on any of the major social feeds. Tag us, like us, and comment about the AutoLooks podcast. Tell the world and keep following us for more great podcasts in the future to come. And while there, please rate and review us on all your favorite platforms, as it really helps the show grow and expand and helps us bring you even better content for the future. Got an idea? Like we said, drop us a line at email@autolooks.net. So for myself, Everett J, Ecom Media Entertainment, and the whole team at AutoLooks.net, strap yourself in for this one fun, wild ride as we celebrate the magic of Santa's sleigh.